Aging is not just about wrinkles, grey hair, or slower steps. As we walk through the later years of life, many subtle habits quietly creep in. Habits that can make growing old lonelier, more frustrating, and emotionally heavier than it needs to be. Yet, no one really talks about them. These aren't the big, obvious mistakes that you read about in health magazines. No, these are the small, almost invisible behaviors that seniors adopt without even realizing it. And sadly, these habits can slowly push family, friends, and even strangers away. Julie, a once vibrant and social 71-year-old retired librarian, discovered this reality firsthand. Once surrounded by friends and family, her world began shrinking. Fewer calls, fewer visits, less laughter. It wasn't because people didn't care. It was because, unknowingly, she had started doing things that made others pull back. Small things like constant complaining, refusing help, resisting change, or unintentionally shutting out younger generations. They quietly built invisible walls around her. But here's the powerful truth. Aging doesn't have to mean isolation. Recognizing these ugly habits is the first step toward reclaiming joy, connection, and dignity in our golden years. In this video, we'll explore 12 subtle yet damaging behaviors that seniors often fall into. And most importantly, how to break free from them before they steal away the beauty of this precious stage of life. Get ready to reflect, perhaps even recognize yourself or someone you love, and most importantly, discover how small shifts can bring back light, laughter, and warmth into aging gracefully. Ugly habit 1. Becoming too negative or critical. Aging brings with it many challenges: physical discomfort, rapid changes in technology, shifting social norms, and unexpected loneliness. But one of the ugliest habits that often sneaks in unnoticed is the habit of becoming overly negative or critical. Seniors like Julie don't set out to become bitter. In their hearts, they often feel they're simply being honest or speaking from experience. But what feels like truth to them often comes across as harsh judgment to others. Julie, like many others, found herself slipping into this trap. She would wake up complaining about her stiff joints, grumble about the younger generation's choices, and sigh deeply when watching the news. What started as innocent venting turned into a daily routine of negativity. Slowly, friends visited less, conversations with family members grew shorter, and even her beloved grandchildren began to distance themselves. The truth is, negativity is draining. People naturally gravitate towards those who lift them up, who bring warmth and optimism into the room. When every conversation turns into a litany of complaints about politics, health, or how things were better back in the day, it becomes exhausting for others. They don't feel energized after seeing you. They feel depleted. What's more dangerous is that negativity becomes self-reinforcing. The more people pull away, the more lonely you feel. And the lonelier you feel, the more bitter your conversations become. It's a vicious cycle that quietly isolates many seniors, even when their intentions were never to push anyone away. But breaking free from this habit is absolutely possible and necessary. How to overcome this ugly habit? Begin every conversation with gratitude. Make it a point to start interactions on a positive note. Instead of leading with complaints about the weather, say, "I'm so glad we have this sunny day," or "It's lovely to hear from you today." Positivity immediately opens doors for deeper, more joyful conversation. Set a complaint limit. Give yourself permission to vent, but only briefly. Limit your negative comments to a couple of minutes, then actively pivot the conversation to something lighter or more meaningful. Practice curiosity. When younger people talk about something new, whether it's a new app, a music trend, or their personal choices, fight the urge to immediately dismiss it. Instead, ask, "Tell me more about that. What do you enjoy about it?" This simple shift fosters connection instead of distance. Surround yourself with positive influences, watch uplifting programs, read inspiring stories, and engage in hobbies that bring you joy. These external sources of positivity will naturally reshape your own mindset. Mind your self-talk. The most damaging negativity often begins inside your own head. Speak kindly to yourself and challenge those automatic negative thoughts when they arise. When Julie made a conscious effort to shift her approach, her relationships blossomed once more. Her family began calling more often. Friends who had grown distant slowly returned. Even her grandchildren stayed longer during visits, eager to share their lives again. The simple act of choosing positivity became the bridge that reconnected her to the people she loved most. Aging may be inevitable, but becoming bitter isn't. With intentional effort, you can cultivate an energy that draws people closer, not pushes them away. Ugly habit 2, ignoring personal hygiene and appearance. One of the most painful but rarely discussed habits that creeps into old age is the gradual neglect of personal hygiene and appearance. While the body slows down and daily routines feel heavier, many seniors unconsciously begin to let go of the small habits that once gave them pride, confidence, and dignity. Julie, for most of her life, took great care in how she presented herself. She had a wardrobe filled with colorful outfits, applied light makeup each morning, and wore her favorite perfume whenever she stepped outside. Her daily grooming was not for vanity. It was her way of saying, "I matter, I'm alive, I'm proud." But as the years passed, Julie's motivation dwindled. At first, she skipped a few hair appointments, then she stopped wearing makeup altogether. Slowly, her vibrant clothes were replaced by oversized, shapeless garments that prioritized comfort over style. Entire days passed where she stayed in her pajamas, telling herself, "Who do I need to impress anymore?" The devastating truth. This slow decline doesn't just affect how others perceive you, it reshapes how you see yourself. When personal grooming disappears, so does a sense of self-respect. Friends may not say anything, but they notice. Family members may grow concerned, sensing signs of depression or resignation. And internally, the senior begins to feel invisible, like a fading shadow of the person they once were. Neglecting appearance often stems from a deeper emotional place: loneliness, physical fatigue, or the quiet resignation that aging equals irrelevance. But the reality is, caring for yourself is not about impressing others, it's about honoring yourself. Why this habit is so dangerous? It breeds isolation. When you no longer feel confident in your appearance, you're less likely to go out, socialize, or engage in public activities. It accelerates mental decline. Daily routines like grooming stimulate the brain. Skipping them can lead to cognitive disengagement. It signals withdrawal. Neglecting personal care is often one of the earliest signs of emotional withdrawal and depression. How to reclaim your dignity and vitality. Get dressed. Every day. Even if you have no plans, start each morning by getting fully dressed in clean, well-fitting clothes. Comfortable does not mean sloppy. The simple act of dressing up signals to your brain that the day has purpose. Maintain grooming habits. Shower regularly. Style your hair, moisturize your skin. Trim your nails. Wear your favorite jewelry or watch. These rituals remind you daily that you still care. Choose vibrant colors. Bright, cheerful colors can uplift your mood and even make your complexion glow. Avoid falling into the trap of grays, blacks, and browns unless that's truly your preference. Create a small feel-good routine. Whether it's putting on a dab of perfume, a touch of lipstick, or a favorite scarf, find small rituals that make you feel beautiful. Ask for help if needed. If mobility or arthritis makes grooming difficult, do not hesitate to ask for assistance from a family member or professional caregiver. When Julie committed to these small steps, the transformation was profound. Strangers smiled at her again. Friends complimented her vibrant appearance. But most importantly, Julie rediscovered a lost part of herself, the vibrant, proud woman who still deserved to shine. Aging with dignity is not about chasing youth. It's about holding on to the pride, confidence, and self-love that have always made you uniquely you. Ugly habit 3. Becoming stubborn and resistant to change. If there's one habit that silently isolates many seniors, it's the creeping resistance to change. Aging often tempts us to seek comfort in familiarity, but that comfort can quietly turn into a prison. The world evolves. Technology, social norms, even how people communicate. And those who resist these changes may find themselves left behind, not because others abandoned them, but because they chose not to adapt. Julie had always prided herself on being independent and wise. She followed routines that had served her for decades, cooking her traditional meals, writing handwritten letters instead of texting, paying bills at the bank instead of online, and refusing to touch any smartphone her children offered her. To her, these habits were symbols of consistency, of staying true to her roots, but in reality, they began to cut her off from her loved ones. Her grandchildren shared their lives through group chats and video calls, but Julie wasn't there. Family pictures, spontaneous videos of her great-grandkids playing, jokes shared among relatives, all of it slipped past her unnoticed. Her son tried to show her how to use a tablet, but she waved him off with a dismissive, "I don't need that. If you want to talk, just call me." Yet the calls grew fewer as life became busier for everyone. What Julie failed to see was this: her stubbornness wasn't to protecting her independence, it was building walls around her. Why this habit is so harmful. It fuels emotional isolation. While others continue to evolve and adopt new ways of staying connected, seniors who resist are unintentionally stepping further into solitude. It limits meaningful engagement. Refusing to learn new technologies or explore modern interests means missing out on countless opportunities to bond with loved ones. It sends a message of rejection. Loved ones may feel their efforts to connect are being dismissed, which creates emotional distance. How to embrace change without losing yourself. Shift your mindset. See learning as an opportunity, not a threat. Adapting doesn't mean abandoning your values, it means expanding your ability to connect. Start small. You don't need to master every app or device. Start with one simple thing: sending a text message, joining a family group chat, or learning to video call your grandchildren. Make it a family bonding activity. Let your grandchildren or children teach you new technology. Not only will you learn, but you'll create meaningful shared experiences. Stay curious. Ask questions about new trends, music, or technology that younger generations enjoy. Even if you don't fully understand, your curiosity will make you approachable and engaged. Celebrate small wins. Each new skill is a victory. Celebrate the first time you successfully send a text or join a video call. Confidence grows with every step forward. Julie's turning point came one weekend when she finally allowed her granddaughter to sit down and patiently walk her through how to use a tablet. It wasn't as complicated as she feared. Soon she was scrolling through family photos, watching videos of her great-grandchildren, and even sending cheerful emoji-filled messages that brought smiles to everyone. By letting go of resistance and embracing change, Julie didn't lose her identity. She rediscovered a new way to stay connected and relevant in her family's world. The truth is, adaptability isn't a sign of weakness. It's a mark of wisdom, courage, and a deep desire to remain fully alive and engaged, no matter your age. Ugly habit 4. Hoarding and refusing to let go of clutter. There is a subtle danger that sneaks into many seniors' lives as they age, the silent build-up of clutter. On the surface, it may seem harmless, just old birthday cards, stacks of magazines, kitchen gadgets unused for years, clothes that haven't fit in decades. But beneath that harmless surface is something much heavier, an emotional attachment to the past that can suffocate the present. Julie had always been a sentimental person. Every object in her house carried a memory. The sweater she wore to her daughter's graduation, the porcelain figurine from her honeymoon, the drawers full of handwritten letters from friends long gone. Each item whispered stories from another time, warm, familiar, safe. But as years passed, her cozy home slowly transformed into a maze of stuff, making it harder to move around, harder to clean, and increasingly harder to welcome anyone inside. Her daughter gently brought it up one weekend. "Mum, maybe it's time to go through some of this. You'll feel better with more space." Julie's reaction was defensive. "But everything here means something to me. I might need it someday." What Julie didn't realize was that clinging to objects was her way of clinging to the past, to moments she feared losing forever. But the more she held on to these things, the more isolated she became, not just physically but emotionally. Guests stopped visiting because there was no space to sit. Dust gathered where cleaning had become impossible. And most painfully, the house that once radiated warmth now whispered of loneliness. Why this habit is so destructive? It creates physical hazards. Cluttered walkways increase the risk of falls, a major danger for seniors. It adds mental stress. Living in crowded, chaotic spaces can contribute to anxiety, overwhelm, and even depression. It blocks connection. Loved ones may feel uncomfortable visiting cluttered homes, shrinking social circles even further. It anchors you in the past. Obsessively holding on to possessions prevents emotional growth and acceptance of the present. How to break free from the chains of clutter. Start small and gentle. Don't attempt to declutter everything at once. Begin with one drawer, one box, or one small corner. Each small success builds momentum. Use the joy test. Ask yourself, does this item still bring me joy or serve a real purpose? If not, let it go. Pass it forward. Meaningful items can become beautiful gifts for children, grandchildren, or charities that can give them new life and meaning. Create a memory album. For deeply sentimental items, consider taking photographs and creating a scrapbook. This allows you to preserve the memory without needing the physical object. Focus on safety and peace. A cleaner, simpler home is easier to move around in, easier to maintain, and fosters a sense of calm and dignity. Julie's breakthrough came when her granddaughter visited one afternoon and gently offered to help organize the house together. At first hesitant, Julie agreed to start with one shelf. As they worked side by side, memories surfaced not as painful goodbyes, but as warm stories shared together. With every cleared box, Julie didn't feel loss. She felt lighter. By the end of a few weekends, Julie's house once again felt like a home, open, bright, and welcoming. Her family visited more often, her neighbors stopped by for tea, and she discovered something she hadn't felt in years: peace. Letting go of clutter isn't about letting go of your past. It is about making space for your present and the people who want to share it with you. Ugly habit. 5. Losing patience with others. Too quickly, aging often tests one's patience in surprising ways. The world seems to move faster, technology evolves at a dizzying pace, and people, especially the young, seem distracted, careless, or even disrespectful. But what many seniors don't realize is how quickly their dwindling patience can erode relationships and leave them increasingly isolated. Julie never saw herself as an impatient person. She had spent most of her life raising children, working hard, and handling life's many curveballs with grace. But recently, even small inconveniences triggered sharp irritation. Waiting in line at the pharmacy, hearing her neighbor's grandkids playing loudly outside, or dealing with a young cashier fumbling through her transaction, all made her grit her teeth and sigh. The most painful moment came one afternoon at the grocery store. A young man was bagging her groceries slowly, clearly new to the job. Julie tapped her foot and muttered under her breath, "Hurry up, will you?" The boy's face flushed with embarrassment, his hands trembling even more. At that moment, Julie saw herself mirrored in his discomfort, and she was ashamed. She had become that person, quick to snap, slow to show grace. Why this habit is so harmful? It creates emotional distance. People avoid those who make them feel tense or uncomfortable. It raises personal stress levels. Constant frustration negatively affects your own health. It stifles compassion. Impatience blocks the empathy that builds meaningful connections. It diminishes joy. Small irritations snowball into an overall sour outlook on life. The sad truth is that many seniors, often unknowingly, allow impatience to replace the grace and wisdom they've spent a lifetime cultivating. But the good news? This is entirely reversible. How to reclaim your patience and warmth. Pause and breathe. When frustration flares up, take a deliberate breath. Count slowly to 5 before reacting. This small pause can neutralize knee-jerk reactions. Empathize instead of criticize. Remind yourself that everyone struggles sometimes. The distracted driver might be a worried parent. The slow cashier could be anxious or new. Choose kindness over critique. Focus on the big picture. Ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow, next week? If not, it's rarely worth losing your peace over. Flip the script. When you feel irritation rising, turn it into an opportunity to show patience. A warm smile, a kind word. These not only soothe the other person, but also uplift your own spirit. Celebrate growth. Acknowledge moments when you chose patience. Each time you succeed is a small victory over bitterness. Julie began practicing these simple steps. The next time she visited the same grocery store, she recognized the young cashier again. This time she smiled and said, "You're doing great, young man. Take your time." His face lit up, relieved. And Julie, for the first time in weeks, felt the sweet reward of kindness over irritation. The deeper truth: patience isn't simply a virtue, it's an act of love, both toward others and toward yourself. As we age, we have the unique opportunity to model grace to younger generations, to become safe harbors in a world already full of harsh critics. When you choose patience, you're not letting others get away with mistakes. You're choosing connection over conflict, peace over pettiness. And with that choice, you keep your relationships vibrant and your heart light. Ugly habit 6, dominating conversations and failing to listen. As people age, the desire to share wisdom, experiences, and life lessons grows naturally. After all, decades of living provide countless stories, insights, and advice. But sometimes, without realizing it, seniors can fall into the trap of turning every conversation into a monologue. Over time, this well-meaning habit can leave loved ones feeling unheard, unimportant, and disconnected. Julie always loved to talk. She had stories for every occasion, from her childhood during simpler times to her career as a librarian and the countless lessons she learned while raising children. Her daughter, grandchildren, neighbors, all became familiar audiences to her narratives. She saw it as connecting, as passing on life's lessons. However, she started noticing something unsettling. Her daughter called less often. Her grandchildren visited, but didn't stay long. Conversations felt rushed, shallow, or even strained. One day, while gently confronting her daughter, she asked, "Why don't you call as much anymore?" Her daughter hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Mom, I love hearing your stories, but sometimes I feel like you don't really hear me. Our conversations always circle back to you." That moment struck Julie like a bolt of lightning. She hadn't realized that by constantly filling the air with her own voice, she had slowly drowned out the voices of those she loved. Instead of mutual conversation, her words had become one-sided lectures. Why this habit is so damaging? Loved ones feel dismissed. When people don't feel heard, they gradually disengage. Relationships lose balance. Healthy conversations are a two-way exchange. It discourages deeper sharing. People stop opening up when they believe their thoughts won't be truly valued. It breeds loneliness. Ironically, dominating conversations often leads to isolation. Seniors, understandably, have an abundance of stories to share. But as with any form of communication, balance is everything. Listening is not just polite, it is a profound gift that fosters intimacy and trust. How to break the habit and become a better listener. Adopt the 50-50 rule. Aim to speak for only half the time. Let others fill the silence, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Ask open-ended questions. Encourage deeper conversation with questions like, "How has your week been? Tell me about something that made you smile recently." Resist the urge to interrupt. Even if you have a great story or valuable advice, wait. Let the other person finish completely before responding. Validate their feelings. Instead of jumping in with your own experiences, say, "That sounds challenging. How did you handle it? I'm proud of you for getting through that." Practice reflective listening. Repeat back key points to show you're engaged. So you're saying work has been stressful lately. Julie started implementing these steps. The next time her granddaughter visited, she resisted the temptation to launch into her usual stories. Instead, she asked, "Tell me what you're excited about these days." Her granddaughter's face lit up, and for the first time in months, their conversation flowed like it used to. They laughed, bonded, and shared in a way Julie had almost forgotten. The deeper lesson. Listening is one of the purest forms of love. When you truly listen, you give someone the gift of being seen, valued, and understood. At any age, but especially in later years, the ability to create space for others' voices is one of the most beautiful ways to keep relationships alive and thriving. And paradoxically, when you become a great listener, you'll often find that others are far more eager to hear your stories in return. Ugly habit. pushing people away by refusing help. Independence is something many seniors have cherished their entire lives. After decades of raising families, managing households, and overcoming personal and financial struggles, they take pride in being self-sufficient. But ironically, this deep-rooted sense of independence can turn into a barrier as they age, a wall that pushes people away just when they need connection and support the most. Julie had always been proud of handling things on her own. She was strong, capable, and didn't want to burden anyone. Not her children, not her neighbors, not even strangers offering a hand. One afternoon after grocery shopping, Julie found herself struggling with the heavy bags. A kind young man passing by noticed her and offered politely, "Would you like some help with that, ma'am?" Julie smiled, forced but firm. "No, thank you. I've got it." The young man hesitated for a moment, then respectfully walked away. As Julie dragged the bags into her home, her back strained, her hands trembled, and her breathing grew heavy. She sat down, exhausted, not only physically but emotionally. Why had she refused his help? Why did she always say no, even when her body screamed yes? Why this habit is so harmful? It creates emotional distance. People who want to help start feeling rejected and unwanted. It isolates seniors. Loved ones may stop offering assistance altogether, not wanting to offend or be turned down again. It increases physical risks. Tasks that were once simple become dangerous when attempted alone. It feeds into loneliness. Instead of building moments of connection, it fosters a quiet sense of isolation. At its core, refusing help often stems from fear. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear of losing control. Fear of being a burden. But ironically, refusing help often results in the very loneliness and vulnerability seniors fear most. The power of allowing help. Accepting assistance isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. It acknowledges our humanity, invites connection, and allows others the joy of being there for us. Think about it. How would you feel if your loved ones always refused your help? Eventually you would stop offering, assuming they no longer wanted or needed you. By saying yes to help, you allow others to express their care. You build small moments of human warmth and connection. You relieve your body from unnecessary physical strain. You model humility and grace, showing that strength lies in vulnerability too. How to break this habit? Pause before saying no. When someone offers help, resist the automatic reflex to decline. Pause, breathe, and consider if their help would truly make things easier. Say yes graciously. Practice saying, "That would be wonderful, thank you for offering." Allow yourself to feel gratitude instead of guilt. Understand. It's a two-way gift. Helping others brings them joy and purpose. When you allow someone to assist, you're giving them an opportunity to feel valued. Set boundaries, not walls. Accept help where you need it, while maintaining independence where you can. Balance is key. Julie's turning point. A few weeks after her exhausting grocery trip, Julie reflected on how often she refused help. She realized how lonely it made her feel afterward, not empowered, but isolated. So the next time she was at the market and saw the same young man, she smiled and softly said, "You know what? I could really use a hand today." The young man's face lit up as he grabbed her bags. "No problem at all, ma'am." In that simple exchange, something shifted inside Julie. She felt connected. She felt lighter, not just because of the bags, but because she had allowed someone into her world again. That night she sat by the window, reflecting not on what she had lost with age, but on what she still had: kindness, community, and the ability to receive love just as much as she once gave it. The deeper truth. Aging gracefully doesn't mean shouldering every burden alone. Sometimes true strength comes from allowing others to stand beside you. Saying yes opens the door to human connection, something far more precious than pride or stubborn independence. Ugly habit 8. Being too frugal to enjoy life. For decades, many seniors have lived with discipline, carefully managing every penny, sacrificing pleasures for the future, and building a financial safety net for themselves and their families. But when they finally reach their golden years, the time they were saving for, a tragic paradox unfolds. They struggle to spend even a little to enjoy life. Julie had always been a master of frugality. Throughout her working years, she clipped coupons religiously, skipped vacations, wore out-of-fashion clothes for years, and rarely splurged on anything unnecessary. Her reasoning was simple. I need to save for the rainy days. But when retirement came, the habits of saving never stopped. Her children and friends would suggest outings, dinners, even small trips. Each time Julie politely declined. It's too expensive. Maybe next year. I just don't want to waste money. Over time, these constant refusals led to fewer invitations. Friends stopped asking. Family members visited less often, assuming Julie simply wasn't interested. And unknowingly, Julie's strict thriftiness robbed her not only of experiences, but also of precious connections. Why this habit is so harmful? Life becomes routine and joyless. Without experiences, life becomes a repetition of chores, meals, and TV reruns. It fuels loneliness. By avoiding outings or shared experiences, relationships slowly weaken. The fear of running out overshadows the present. Instead of living, the person lives in perpetual anxiety over what-ifs. Health and well-being suffer. Denying small comforts, better nutrition, relaxation, entertainment, leads to both physical and emotional stagnation. Here's the hard truth. Money is a tool. It is meant to serve life, not dominate it. The root of the problem. Deep beneath this overfrugality is often fear. Fear of unexpected medical bills, fear of becoming a financial burden on children, fear of losing independence, fear of outliving savings. These fears, while understandable, can cause people to sacrifice the very years they once dreamed of enjoying. How to break this habit? Recognize you've earned this time. You worked hard. You sacrificed. You deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Even small joys are rewards you've rightfully earned. Set aside a joy fund. Create a budget specifically for enjoyment. Travel, hobbies, dining out, concerts, or any activity that brings you joy. Having a dedicated fund helps reduce guilt. Focus on experiences, not just things. Studies show that experiences, a trip, a dinner with friends, a painting class, bring longer-lasting happiness than buying more material possessions. Start small. If spending feels uncomfortable, begin with something minor. A nice meal at your favorite restaurant, a small getaway, or a concert ticket. Understand that balance is key. Being responsible with money doesn't mean hoarding it until it's too late. True wisdom lies in balancing security with living fully. Julie's turning point. One day, Julie's lifelong friend Linda invited her on a simple weekend getaway to the countryside. They would stay in a cozy cabin, enjoy fresh air, visit a few local shops, and simply relax. Julie's first instinct was to decline, listing all the usual reasons. It's too much. I should save that money. What if I need it later? But this time, something stopped her. She looked at Linda's kind eyes, full of hope and friendship. She realized that memories were slipping through her fingers, not because life was unfair, but because she was denying herself permission to live. Finally, she said softly, "You know what? Let's go." That weekend became one of the happiest in years. Julie laughed like she hadn't in ages, ate delicious food, and made priceless memories with her friend. When she returned home, she finally understood. I haven't wasted money. I've invested in my own happiness. The deeper lesson. Aging isn't just about survival. It's about living. Saving for the future is wise, but forgetting to live today is a tragedy. Memories outlast possessions. Laughter heals far better than any medicine. And time, once lost, can never be bought back. So spend, not recklessly, but with joy, because you've earned it. Ugly Habit 9. Talking down to younger generations. As seniors gain wisdom, experience, and years of perspective, many fall into an unexpected trap, the urge to constantly compare, criticize, and lecture younger generations. It rarely comes from malice. Often it comes from love. But the outcome can be isolation. Julie adored her grandson Ethan. She cherished his visits and looked forward to hearing about his school hobbies and adventures. But lately those visits had grown short. The easy laughter and long conversations they once shared were fading. Julie didn't understand why. One day, As Ethan talked excitedly about a new mobile app, Julie interrupted. Back in my day, kids actually played outside instead of staring at screens all day. Her tone was dismissive, her eyes judgmental. Ethan's shoulders slumped. A few minutes later, he glanced at his phone and mumbled, "I should probably get going." And just like that, another visit ended prematurely. Why this behavior is so damaging? Younger generations feel invalidated. Constant comparisons make them feel as though their experiences are inferior, meaningless, or foolish. Creates emotional distance. Instead of feeling heard and understood, they feel judged, making future conversations tense and shorter. Prevents real connection. True bonds are built on mutual respect, not superiority. Seniors often forget that every generation faces unique challenges, technologies, and cultural shifts that were simply not present decades ago. What seems trivial to one generation may feel vital to another. The root of this habit, at its core, talking down, stems from fear, worry that the younger generation is making mistakes, control, the instinct to guide and protect, even when unsolicited, nostalgia, belief that the old way was always better. But these well-meaning impulses often backfire, making younger family members withdraw emotionally. How to break this habit and reconnect? Be curious, not critical. Replace. In my day, we didn't. With, "That's interesting, tell me more." Curiosity invites connection, criticism builds walls. Acknowledge changing times. Life today is not objectively easier or harder, it's simply different. Every era has its challenges. Share stories as bridges, not lectures. Instead of lecturing, use personal stories to gently illustrate values or experiences. When I was your age, we faced different challenges, but it's fascinating to see how things evolve. Listen actively. Let them speak. Let them share their passions. Even if you don't understand TikTok or gaming or cryptocurrency, celebrate their world. When Ethan speaks about his interests, celebrate his enthusiasm instead of dismissing it. "I love how passionate you are about this. It's great to see you excited." Julie's turning point. One afternoon, after yet another awkward visit, Julie confided in her friend Linda, "I don't know why Ethan pulls away. I just want him to see things differently." Linda smiled gently. "Julie, he needs your ears, not your lectures. He's not looking for approval, he's looking for understanding." That struck a chord. The next time Ethan visited, Julie changed her approach. When he showed her his favorite game, instead of criticizing, she asked, "Can you show me how it works? It looks pretty cool." Ethan's eyes lit up. He enthusiastically walked her through the game, explaining the strategy, the creativity, and why he loved it. For the first time in months, the two talked, really talked. The visit lasted hours. The deeper lesson: relationships across generations thrive when seniors trade judgment for genuine curiosity. The world is evolving rapidly, but connection is timeless. By choosing understanding over authority, you not only preserve your relationships, you strengthen them. Because what younger generations truly need is not constant correction, but safe spaces to share, explore, and feel loved, exactly as they are. Ugly Habit 10. Holding on to grudges and regrets. Aging brings with it a lifetime of experiences, both beautiful and painful. But for many seniors, there's a silent poison that seeps into their later years, holding on to grudges, regrets, and emotional baggage that should have been released long ago. Julie sat quietly one evening, staring at old photo albums. Pictures of holidays, family dinners, and childhood birthdays brought both warmth and ache to her heart. But as she flipped each page, the memories triggered something darker: betrayals, arguments, words left unsaid. There was her sister, whom she hadn't spoken to in years after a bitter argument. There was the neighbor who'd borrowed money and never returned it. There were all the missed opportunities and what-ifs that haunted her mind late at night. Every photo seemed to whisper, "Look at what could have been." Why this habit is so dangerous? It steals peace of mind. Dwelling on grudges keeps painful emotions alive, preventing true happiness. It isolates. Bitterness repels others, making family and friends hesitant to engage deeply. It damages health. Chronic resentment raises blood pressure, disrupts sleep, and increases risks for heart disease, depression, and anxiety. It locks you in the past. Regrets keep you focused on things you can no longer control, robbing you of the joys available right now. As the years pass, the cost of emotional baggage grows heavier, yet letting go becomes harder. Why? Because many feel that releasing old wounds somehow invalidates their suffering or lets others off the hook. But in truth, forgiveness isn't about excusing others, it's about freeing yourself. The root of this habit: fear of being vulnerable again. Feeling that forgiveness is weakness, a sense of righteousness. They don't deserve my forgiveness. But in reality, the person most damaged by long-held grudges is you. How to break free and heal emotionally. Acknowledge what can't be changed. The past is carved in stone, but your future is still pliable. Ask, what can I learn instead of what could I have done? Forgive for your own peace. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing. It means choosing peace over poison. Write a release letter. Write down your deepest resentments, regrets, or unspoken feelings, then burn or tear the paper as a symbolic act of letting go. Practice mindfulness. When thoughts of past wounds resurface, gently redirect your attention to the present moment. Seek closure where possible. If safe and appropriate, consider reaching out to estranged loved ones. Often, healing begins with a single conversation. Julie's turning point. One afternoon, Julie's neighbor Linda visited and noticed her somber mood. "Julie, what's weighing on you?" With tears in her eyes, Julie whispered, "I can't stop thinking about what my sister did and all the years we've wasted." Linda gently replied, "You've carried this long enough, my friend. Set it down. You deserve peace, not punishment." That night, Julie took out a journal and poured out every unresolved thought, every painful memory. When she finished, she tore the pages, breathing deeply. For the first time in years, she felt lighter. The deeper lesson. As we age, life teaches us one of its most profound truths. Happiness isn't found in perfection, but in peace. Letting go of grudges and regrets isn't about erasing history. It's about releasing yourself from its grip. Because the more you release, the more room you create for laughter, love, and simple joy. In the end, we cannot rewrite the past, but we can write our final chapters with grace, forgiveness, and light hearts. Ugly habit 11. Ignoring early health warnings. For many seniors, the natural instinct when health issues arise is simple: dismiss them. Julie was no different. When she started feeling dizzy standing up, she blamed it on dehydration. When her vision blurred occasionally, she thought it was just fatigue. When she felt short of breath after walking up a small flight of stairs, she assured herself, "I'm just getting older, it's normal." But the truth is, these were not normal signs of aging. They were early warnings, whispers from her body begging for attention. One morning, while reaching for a coffee mug, the dizziness struck harder. Julie lost her balance and fell. She fractured her hip and was rushed to the hospital. There, the doctor gently shook his head. "Julie, if we had caught this sooner, we could have prevented this." Why ignoring health problems is so dangerous. Small signs often indicate bigger issues. Dizziness can point to cardiovascular problems. Shortness of breath may signal heart disease. Sudden fatigue could suggest early-stage diabetes or anemia. Delaying care allows conditions to worsen silently. Many serious diseases progress slowly. Early treatment is often simple. Late treatment can be life-altering. Normalizing discomfort is risky. Telling yourself, "This is just part of aging," prevents you from getting necessary medical evaluations. Your independence is at stake. A small untreated issue today could lead to a fall, a stroke, or hospitalization tomorrow. The root of this habit: denial. Admitting something's wrong can be scary. Pride. Many seniors fear becoming a burden or being seen as frail. Stubborn independence, "I can handle it," becomes a dangerous mantra. How to break this habit and stay proactive? Listen to your body. You know your body best. If something feels different or off, don't dismiss it. Establish routine checkups. Even if you feel fine, schedule regular doctor visits. Many dangerous conditions, high blood pressure, early cancers, heart issues, are often silent at first. Report new symptoms immediately. Sudden changes like weight loss, dizziness, memory lapses, chest pain, or severe fatigue should never be ignored. Adopt the better safe than sorry rule. Catching a small problem early is always better than fighting a big one later. Involve your loved ones. Let family members know what's happening. They can encourage, support, and help advocate for proper care. Julie's turning point. After surgery and painful recovery, Julie vowed never to ignore her body again. She started keeping a small notebook to track any unusual symptoms. She scheduled biannual physicals. She told her daughter any time something didn't feel right. The result? Peace of mind, empowerment, and fewer medical scares. The deeper lesson. Aging does not mean surrendering to sickness. Modern medicine offers incredible tools to extend both lifespan and quality of life, but only if you seek help early. Don't let fear or pride rob you of precious, healthy years. Your body speaks. Your job is to listen and respond. Factually habit. 12. Forgetting to invite joy and laughter into life. Aging can be heavy. Responsibilities shift, loved ones pass, the body weakens, and slowly, without realizing it, many seniors stop making space for simple joy. Julie used to be full of laughter. She hosted game nights, sang silly songs with her grandchildren, and even danced in the kitchen while cooking. But somewhere along the way, life became quiet. Days melted into each other. She turned on the news, read the paper, did chores, and repeated. The house was tidy, but the air felt heavy. Even when her neighbor Linda invited her for a movie night, Julie hesitated. I don't know, I'm too old for that kind of thing. But Linda gently insisted. That night, as they watched an old comedy classic, Julie started to laugh. Not a polite chuckle, real, belly-shaking, tear-streaming laughter. Her face flushed, her heart lifted. For the first time in years, she felt alive. Why neglecting joy is so dangerous in old age? Laughter is medicine. It reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, boosts immunity, improves circulation, and even enhances memory. Joy is magnetic. People naturally gravitate towards those who carry warmth and positivity. A joyful senior draws in family, friends, and even strangers. Joy keeps your spirit young. While aging wears on the body, laughter keeps the soul light and resilient. Without joy, depression creeps in silently. Emotional numbness replaces delight. Isolation grows. Health deteriorates further. The roots of this habit. Guilt. Some feel it's inappropriate to laugh while others suffer. Loss. Grief makes it feel wrong to feel happiness again. Routine. Repetitive, isolated habits crowd out opportunities for joy. How to invite laughter and joy back. Schedule joy. Intentionally plan for fun. Movie nights, music, dancing, or simply spending time with people who make you smile. Revisit what once made you happy. Old hobbies, childhood games, even silly little routines from the past can reignite happiness. Surround yourself with positivity. Seek out uplifting shows, books, and people. Avoid endless news cycles that drain energy. Practice gratitude. Each morning, write down 3 small things you're thankful for. Gratitude opens the door to joy. Don't be afraid to look foolish. Sing loudly. Dance badly. Laugh often. No one judges someone who radiates joy. Julie's renewal. After that movie night, Julie made a new rule for herself: 1 laugh every day. She watched comedies while cooking, played cards with her friends, sang nursery rhymes with her great-grandkids. Even during moments of sadness, she searched for small moments of light. The result? Her energy returned, her relationships deepened, her health even improved, because laughter, quite literally, heals. The deeper truth. Joy is not childish. Joy is courage, to laugh after loss, to smile in the face of hardship, to seek light, even when darkness looms. That is the secret power of aging well. The silent traps of aging, but also the keys to freedom. Aging is inevitable, but loneliness, disconnection, bitterness, those are not inevitable. Julie's journey is a mirror for millions. Like so many seniors, she unknowingly slipped into small habits, habits that quietly stole her joy, isolated her from loved ones, and dimmed her once vibrant spirit. negativity, neglecting self-care, clinging to the past, pushing others away, avoiding joy. Each behavior seemed harmless at first, but together they built invisible walls between her and the life she deserved. And yet, here's the beautiful truth. None of these habits are permanent. The moment Julie became aware, everything began to shift, not overnight, not with grand gestures, but with tiny, conscious choices, smiling instead of complaining, saying yes to new things instead of resisting, letting go of grudges, inviting joy back, one laugh at a time, allowing others to help, and feeling loved in return. And with each small shift, she rediscovered something profound. Aging well isn't about fighting time. It's about embracing life. Every day offers a chance to rewrite the story, to reconnect, to rediscover joy, to leave behind what no longer serves you, and step into the light of presence, grace, and meaning. If you're watching this today, ask yourself, which of these ugly habits have crept into your life? Which small choice could you make today to reclaim your joy? Because your best years aren't behind you. They may still be ahead, waiting for you to welcome them. You are not powerless. You're not broken. You are still becoming. And that is the quiet miracle of growing older with wisdom.